Hi guys, it's Keon here, and today I'll be showing you guys how to code Python, what Python is. So I'm gonna be posting videos on this till I teach you guys everything that I know. So this is just part one. There's gonna be 2, 3, 4, so on, for Python. So now you guys may be asking, what is Python? Python is basically a code, like a code script. Like for an example, if you guys are familiar with JavaScript or C++, Python is like those. Except Python, like right now, most of the people are heading towards Python, and it's a really good skill to learn and know how to do. So you guys may be asking, how am I supposed to code Python? You can't just go to the browser, Google browser and just search. No. So what I use is if you guys search on your Google browser hold on, let me go and connect to internet. Sorry guys. There, if you just search REPL.it and go ahead and press enter, it'll take you to this screen. And then here it has a sign in button on the top right corner. You guys now go ahead and sign in and go click on new REPL. Now these are the different languages that it has that you could use, but what I'm gonna use is Python because we're doing Python. There's Python with Turtle, but today we're just gonna focus on Python. And I'll say the name would be first YouTube. First YouTube. And then just go ahead and press create REPL, and it'll take you to the REPL screen where you can start coding. Now, if you guys don't know what the console is or the shell is, so what the console is where, so when you code, there's sometimes in code where you could have it interactive. There's also another type. And the shell is basically what is it doing and stuff like that. But here we code over here. And this is the results. So if you guys don't know what to start or what to do, there's lots of things you could do. Like for an example, I have once done a calculator, like part of a calculator. A turtle race where I raced 3 turtles, interactive calculator where it calculates the mean, median, and mode and range of the list of numbers. But today we're just going to go ahead and the basics and stuff like that. And the basic is calculating with Python, like how it works, and variables, because that's a main part of whatever you're going to be doing. So for the lessons, I'm going to be following along with a book called Python for Kids, A Playful Introduction to Programming by Jason R. Briggs. So this is what I'm going to be following along with and stuff like that. So first off, let's code here. So first, let's just go calculating with numbers and what to do with that in Python. So 8 times, so for an example, if you were to go type in the Google calculator 8 times 3, right? It would calculate that. But for Python, if you just go ahead and 8 times 3, it's gonna nothing, because you haven't coded anything. All you've done is just put 8 times 3, and that's nothing for Python. If for an example, you want to actually have Python calculate 8 times 3, there's a function, these are functions and tells them what to do, called print. Now what print does is basically it prints whatever you want into the Python console. So now if you want it to, like, if I wanted for Python to print I am Keon. My name is Keon. I am Keon, right? This would not work. Why? Because in school or if you ever want to cite something from an evidence, if you want to put into an answer, you put quotation marks around it. So that's pretty much it. if you wanted to write something without that just being nothing, you just go ahead and put quotation marks and then write I am Keon. I am Keon. Now, if you go ahead and press run, and it says prints I am Keon right here. But if you wanted to calculate, again, 8 times 3, you would not do quotation marks 8 times 3. Why? Because now you're telling Python that you just want to print 8 times 3, just because you put the quotation marks around it. So if you go ahead and run it, it's just going to print 8 times 3. And we don't want that. We want Python to calculate 8 times 3. So in order for Python to calculate 8 times 3, we don't go print quotation marks because we're not saying anything. We want Python to calculate. So we still do prints because we want Python, because we want it to show in the console, but we don't put quotation marks. Instead, we just do 8 times 3, and now Python would put 24. See, 24. Because we didn't put any quotation marks, and we're telling Python that we need to calculate it. Okay, so next, I'm going to tell you guys what is the limitations of Python calculating. Honestly, guys, you could do anything you want with Python calculating. For an example, like order of operations. Like for an example, you could go +2 minus 3 divided by 4. And if you just go ahead and run, it'll do 25 from 25. And it's correct. But now I'm going to go ahead and go to variables, because variables are a very large part of Python. So first let's see what variables are. Like, what's the definition of variables? Let's go into the Google Chrome browser so I can read with you guys and say variables definition. A variable is any factor, trait, or condition that can exist in differing amounts or types. An experiment usually has 3 kinds of variables: independent, dependent, and controlled. Well, okay, so basically what we took away from there is that a variable is something inside another thing. So what that means is that, let's say my variable's name is A, alright? A would be the variable's name. And then so for Python, for you to create a variable, you have to write, our variable's A, we have to write A equals, so what A is, like what the variable A is for, equals, let's say, I don't know, 8 times 3. Right. Now, basically, A equals 24 right now. So, and then if you go ahead and press print A, oh, and remember, guys, we don't put any quotation marks around this, because if we do put quotation marks around this, then all it will do is print the letter A, but we don't want that. We want Python to actually print A, like as in A, it's what the meaning is. So that's why we don't put any quotation marks around it. So now Python will print 24, because A is 24, because we put A as 8 times 3. Basically, what variables are useful for is if you're writing a code that's more like than 4 lines, it's very good. It's very good to have variables in your code, because if you want something repetitive, like for an example, if you wanted to eventually build up on 8 times 3, like A, so like if you have, we want 8 times 3, so we go print 8 times 3. Okay, now we want to build on that, so we want to go print 8 times 3 times 3. And now we want to build up on that again. We would go print 8 times 3 times 3 times 3, sorry. So, and then so on, so on. So it's not very efficient here, because we're basically having to write 8 times 3 or 3 every single time, right? And that's not efficient. So instead of and now if we run this, it would go 260. But it will do all the equations. But if we wanted to if we wanted to make it more efficient, we would go A equals 8 times 3, right? A equals 8 times 3, because as we said before, right now, A equals 24. A equals 24, but since we didn't print it, it won't show in the console. A equals 24. Now, if you wanted to add on that, we could go, and because we don't want to print everything, we could go A equals A times 3. So this would be 24 times 3, as is that one, right? And now A equals 72. Now, if we wanted to build up on that, we would go A equals A times 3. We keep on going times 3, now it would be 216. So now if we go ahead and press print A, it would go 216, right? Correct. So it's much more efficient than what we had before, because what we had before is we had to write all the numbers out and stuff like that. But we don't want that. We want it to be very efficient in Python, and this is what variables do. They create things that are efficient for you to use. And this is more efficient for Python. So, right? Now let's go into a little bit more complex situations with variables and calculation. All right. So let's say I would want to go A equals I don't know, 2 times 2, right? Let's say A equals 2 times 2. And then equals A equals 2 times 2. So now basically A equals 4. So now I want to see B. Let's have another variable named B. B equals 3 times 3. 3 times 3. And then C equals 4 times 4. And, 4 times 4. And D would equal 5 times 5, right? Now, I want to see what all of these together is. So, I will just go ahead and press print. And now, guys, remember, we don't put any quotation marks because we want to calculate something. We don't want Python just to print what we say. We want it to print the variables in that. So we would go, if you wanted to add all of these up, we would go A plus B plus C plus D. Now what we're telling Python to do is print whatever A is, whatever B is, whatever C is, and whatever D is together. Addition, like calculate wise. If you wanted to put letters, that's a whole other story. If you wanted to like A equals A, B equals B, C, D, and you want to do A, B, C, D, when you go print, that's way more complex, and that's for a different lesson, but we're just doing calculations. So now, if we go ahead and run, it would go 54 because we put all of these. Now, let's do this code. If we didn't have, now, let's see what would happen to this code if we didn't have any variables. If we did not have any variables, then we would have to sit there and go print 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 4 times 4 times 5 times 5, and it would equal the same thing. Oh wait, no, sorry, never mind. 2 times 2 plus. Sorry, we have to do plus, but anyway, if you do plus, it would equal the same thing, except. And this is more efficient. Yes, we were right. If we just go 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, that would be more efficient. Yet, if we wanted to repeat that, if we wanted to repeat this, right? And we say we wanted to let's have another variable called all. Oh, that's a function, sorry. Let's have another variable called al. All right, let's call al. Let's call the variable al. And we wanted all of these to be in that variable so we could use this 54. So we could just go equals A plus B plus C plus D, and now al equals 54 because we're having all these variables together. So instead of actually writing out 2 times 2 times 3 times 4 and stuff like that, we just have to put the variables in, which is way more efficient. Now, if we wanted to use al, and again, we would press al equals al plus 2. Oh, and by the way, guys, Python follows order of operations, but basically parentheses first, then power, then division, then multiplication, division, then addition, subtraction. So if I were to go like al plus 2, which would be 54 plus 2, which would be 56 times 2, 56 times 2. it would be, we won't have 56 times 2 because it's order of operations. So Python, if you say al equals what now, it would be 54 plus 2 times 2, which is 4. So 54 plus 4 would be 8. So we don't want that. We don't want to follow order of operations. So now I want al, but instead I'm just going to show you the concept. So al plus 2. Now, if we go ahead and we press print al, al will be 56, right? Okay, and this is way more efficient than writing A, B, C, D plus D or 5 times 5 or this, because we're putting everything into a variable. And now we want to have, let's have another variable called loves. Al loves. Alright, al loves. Now loves equals al times al plus al plus al. So this would be 54 times 3, right? Loves will now equal 54 plus 3. So now if you wanted to go ahead and print loves, we would, alright guys, let's see. Oh, sorry, I forgot to press enter. Now if you go, it would be 168 because 54 plus 54 plus 54, 54 times 3 would equal 168. So now we have loves here, right? Now, so it would be, again, it would be way more efficient than writing actually all of this plus all of this plus all of this in this. Instead, we use the variables to make it way more efficient. So now let's have another variable, hot dogs. Let's call it hot dogs. Or, oh, and by the way, guys, one rule about variables, you can't have spaces in them. And it can't start with the number. So if you go like 1h equals, that one, because you can't have any numbers in them, okay? So, and it can't have any spaces or special characters either. So if I want to have hot dogs, I would have to do hot and then underscore dogs, all right? Hot dogs will equal loves plus loves. Oh, and these spaces that like in between that, these are optional. It doesn't really change the code. So if you just go loves plus loves plus loves, and we go ahead and press print hot underscore dog, print hot, guys, I'm really sorry. I don't know why I do this. But now if you go print hot dogs, it will be, we would have love plus, again, 168 plus 168 plus 168, which is 504. So, so far we have Al loves hot dogs. And hot dogs is way more efficient because we would not have to go back again and do all of these equations just to get loves and put loves again in all of these equations 3 times so we get a plus plus plus. We wouldn't want that. Now let's say, and now for the final thing we would have to print Al plus loves plus hot dogs. Al loves hot dogs. Oh, this is supposed to be an underscore. Al loves hot dogs. So now it would print, again, if you go here in the console, what does Al equal? Al equals A plus B plus C D plus D would equal, and then now Al plus 2, so Al would be 56 plus 168 plus 504, and we have Python on that, it would be 728. And so that's basically variables and calculations with Python. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check some other videos out on my channel. I'm truly sorry about the Beth Harmon. I play her and I keep on losing. But I promise you guys, next time I play the next Beth Harmon, no matter what, I'll be sure to put it on YouTube even if I lose. It's still good to practice. And yeah, so next time we'll be going into more advanced stuff about lists, tuples, maps, and stuff, and lists, tuples, maps, strings. But so far, yeah. So again, as I told you guys, go to REPL, create your REPL, and then go ahead and start practicing the calculations or whatever you want. And see what you could manage. Make sure to comment down below. I'll be love to hear what you guys coded up with what I've taught you today. So yeah, go ahead and put the comments below. Or if you guys think that my teaching is bad, go ahead and please leave comments down below. So then I would know how to make my teaching better to teach you guys even more stuff. Because trust me, it gets complex later on. Thank you guys so much. Bye!